Ladies and gents, welcome to GX, and this is Pakistan is doomed. Bachan living ironically in Europe. I watched video from this channel about India versus Balkans war on Reddit, which is the funniest shit of all time. It's one of those videos, right? Like internet historian made a 4chan video of like how wars were happening 4chan. That then there was also the video about Shia LaBeouf thing, also 4chan. This kind of feels like that, like the Reddit war. Most Indians don't even know Reddit is. Slowly that's changing. But yeah, that was just ridiculous shit. I know this is about recent conflict, obviously. But like, I thought this channel mostly made meme style videos. I don't know. India, Pakistan launch against one another in the contest. This is drawing international. Both nations equipped by. Okay. I don't know what this video is gonna be about. But title says Pakistan is doomed. So I don't know. It would be a surprise since Western media doesn't cover it in that way. Oh, Pakistan, India, this is equal war. Like, okay, how the fuck is that even the case? Roll this one.
Pakistan is doomed. The long-standing and volatile India-Pakistan blood feud has recently returned to headlines this past month, reignited by terrorist attacks in Kashmir and culminating on May 6th with Indian airstrikes on alleged militant camps inside Pakistan. The whole situation is a mess. Constant claims and denials are thrown around by both sides, and some people have entered panic mode, saying that an all-out India-Pakistan war is looming, leading to another global conflict. Those voices of concerns were quickly silenced when India and Pakistan agreed to a ceasefire, which lasted barely 3 hours and was broken by Pakistan. This is a gigantic mistake.
See, that's the thing. You basically said both sides are claiming things, who know who's right. Then the next fact is, oh, by the way, Pakistan is the one who broke the ceasefire in 3 hours. Pakistan is the one who's showing armor footage to say, here you go, this is India. But Indian military is basically giving you satellite images and just claiming things that are fact. It doesn't take that hard of a leap to realize who's right and who's making shit up.
On their part, because should these threats and escalations ever evolve into a hypothetical armed conflict, the odds would be heavily stacked against Pakistan due to its inferior military strength as well as internal factors and critical weaknesses that would be easily exploitable and turned against the country.
Yeah, country is not stable, Baluchistan and all that thing, not to mention they're broke. They need $1 billion from IMF. I mean, $1 billion is nothing. India is now 4th economy in the world, just overtook Japan. Yeah, you know, like 4th military, 4th economy versus 12th military and 42nd economy. How is this even a fight? It surprised me that during all this shit, people are actually, oh, this equal thing. Oh, by the way, Pakistan, you don't want to screw with Pakistan. On which it's like, oh, USA, you don't want to mess with Mexico. Like, how is that even a fight?
If you paid attention to your geography classes at school, you should know that India is the most populous country on the planet, with over 1.4 billion people living in it. By contrast, Pakistan has a population of over 250 million people, completely outnumbered by India. This manpower discrepancy is also reflected in both countries' military personnel. India outnumbers Pakistan in active and reserve personnel over 2-1. The paramilitary ratio is about 5-1, and the fit for service population has a staggering 6.5-1 ratio. Therefore, in a battle dictated by outmanning the other army and horde tactics, Pakistan would be metaphorically trampled by the far larger Indian force. But sure, being outnumbered doesn't necessarily mean being outgunned. Maybe Pakistan has better military technology than India, and a hypothetical war between the two would be more akin to the 100 men versus 1 gorilla debate. Let's make some side-by-side comparisons between India and Pakistan's armies. On land, both countries have similar inventories of tanks, artillery, and armored vehicles, leading to a somewhat even playing field, and dare I say, Pakistani advantages in some aspects, like
What are you talking about? India's twice as shit that Pakistan has, more than twice in most of things. Yes, some of them like artillery is slightly higher. Most of the shit India has is like tanks, planes, jet. So India has like aircraft carriers, Pakistan doesn't have. India has nuclear capable submarines, nuclear triad, Pakistan doesn't. India has ICBMs. Agni 5 and things. Pakistan doesn't have that shit. It's not even a match.
Propelled artillery and mobile rocket launchers. However, this advantage is microscopic compared to India's total air and naval supremacy over Pakistan. Alongside this, India benefits from better infrastructure, supply chains, and a domestic defense industry that allows for quicker refills and mobility. Furthermore, economically, India no-diffs Pakistan with an economy 10 times larger and an abundance in natural resources, enabling greater military spending and long-term sustainability in a hypothetical war scenario. But Janos, what about nukes? Both countries are nuclear powers. Surely we don't have to talk about that doomsday scenario, right? It would go against my nothing ever happens mantra, and even if we were to consider this a last-ditch nuclear option, Pakistan is still doomed. Over the past decades, both countries have been engaged in a perpetual dick measuring contest over who possesses more nuclear warheads, with each country claiming to have somewhere between 170 and 180 nukes each. However, as you can see from this population density map, Pakistan's population is tightly packed around the Indus River banks, whereas India's is considerably more spread out across its larger land size. Basically, it's like a game of battleships, but Pakistan's board is 20 times smaller than India's. Although utilizing nuclear weapons would wreak absolute chaos on both countries, Pakistan would ultimately be the one who draw the shorter straw. But that's considering.
Yeah, okay. Pakistan, only defense Pakistan has is one style of Chinese entire defenses, which didn't work. India still blew shit up while those didn't work. India has S-400, Akash system, Prithvi system, which is anti-ballistic system, which can shoot out shit from the space, right? Compared all these, like there are a total of 4 systems compared together. It literally creates an iron dome that even most ICBMs, which Pakistan doesn't have, can't penetrate through. So Pakistan launches 10 nuclear missiles. At least 9 of them will be intercepted. One will pass through. One city is fucked. Then India sends 20. There is no Pakistan anymore.
If the two countries would be even willing to use such weapons against one another, which is unlikely. In the most recent conflict between Ukraine and Russia, the doctrine for using nukes has been tested by Ukraine with the incursion of the Ukrainian army into Russian territory. Even though Russia could have used this as an excuse to activate these weapons, it didn't.
I mean, that's not really like apples to apples or apples to whatever. Both are nuclear powered, while Russia and Ukraine, only Russia is nuclear powered. Russia, if they use nuke, that gives US and other countries excuse to nuke Russia. Why would they do that? Pakistan and India is a different thing. Both are nuke countries. So Pakistan can just use the last ditch effort to launch nuke. But then again, every single country on the planet, even Pakistan's allies, would use nuke against Pakistan. Because that's just one of the no-no things you don't do. If you do that, other countries will basically blew you to like smithereen, because you crossed a line and now people have to make statement. Global community have to make a statement that you can't use nukes. So regardless of what, people will basically like India doesn't even have to do that. Most of the countries in the world will basically nuke Pakistan, and vice versa, I guess. Same thing applies to India. So yeah, one thing is damn sure, nuclear threat is just that. It's just something we have. Unless it's last-ditch effort in something like World War III, nobody's gonna use nukes in a conflict. That's it. And if they use it, they're basically fucked.
Ukraine successfully called their bluff due to the consequences of using such weapons being far too great. The same theory can be applied in the case of a war between India and Pakistan, where mutual self-assured destruction would deter either nation from using nukes against one another. So, as you can see, a Pakistani military campaign against India is mathematically doomed from the start. Sure, we could all sit and dream of a smaller Pakistani army outmaneuvering and overpowering a larger Indian army all we want. However, any dreams of a Pakistani tactical.
Yeah, let's talk about that shit. Oh, by the way, smaller Pakistani military might have an edge. How? Pakistan military has a government. Military is basically a dictator there in Pakistan. Only thing that results in is corruption, major corruption. At a level most shit doesn't work, which they didn't. In this conflict, one thing was point blank, clear. Their shit is not working because they didn't maintain it. India's fourth economy and a democracy where people come and go. No one guy stays in power for long. Prime Minister comes and go. This is the third time the Modi was elected, and he was elected like 60%, which is like very less vote compared to the before. And I'm guessing only the reason that happened, amongst other, most of the reason because he was running for third time, and people are like, should we do this? That's what India is. Pakistan is not that. The people come and go. Yes, there is corruption, but not at that level. And India's fourth economy. India has money. India can constantly check, is equipment working? Let's test it out in like some kind of a drill or something. It's not working. Replace it. Pakistan can't replace shit. They don't have money. In which universe Pakistan has any chance?
Masterclass are instantly shattered when we factor in the country's abysmal geography, inherited from, or rather cursed by, their former colonial rulers, the British. As I've previously mentioned, Pakistan's population is heavily centered around the Indus River Valley, quite perfectly matching the river's course and its tributaries. The Indus River Plain is considered the breadbasket of Pakistan, but it can easily be turned into the country's biggest weakness, because it provides little to no natural defenses for the eastern border. India can just charge in and roll over Pakistani forces, whilst also capturing key cities like Karachi and Lahore. Karachi in particular is of immense strategic importance. Not only is it Pakistan's largest city, but it also hosts the country's busiest port, handling around 60% of all cargo and serving as a critical hub for trade, fuel, and military.
Yeah, by the way, before the ceasefire, just a day before, India used BrahMos cruise missiles to blow up shit in Karachi, and miraculously, in a day or later, they asked for a ceasefire. People actually have balls to say, India asked for a ceasefire. Why the fuck we would do that? You blew nothing up. You claim you blew S-400. Prime Minister literally went the next day, next day or something, and just like, there's the S-400 in the background. What did you blow up? You just making shit up while your own people are sending videos and images and shit like, look, India's blowing our shit up. Really?
Resupply. In other words, whoever controls the port controls the whole of Pakistan. And even if the city is not captured by Indian forces, attacking and damaging its infrastructure would severely cripple Pakistan's war effort and fighting ability, giving India an immense upper hand. Another crucial weakness posed by the Indus River is that it and its tributaries' origins are in India. Prior to the recent airstrikes, India responded swiftly to the terrorist attack and alleged Pakistani aggression by tightening border controls, halting visa issuances to Pakistani nationals, and most crucially, announcing the suspension of the landmark Indus Waters Treaty of 1960, a pact that has long withstood the test of hostilities. The consequences of this action are profound. India's suspension of the treaty has led to significant reductions in water flow throughout the Chenab River, with Pakistani authorities reporting a 90% drop in water supply. Furthermore, India has accelerated the construction of hydroelectric projects in Kashmir, which would further impact water availability downstream. This move threatens Pakistan's agriculture and energy sectors and puts millions of lives at risk, as the country relies heavily on the Indus River system for irrigation and hydropower. Overall, Pakistan.
Should we admit that there is an issue? Should we admit wait a minute, terrorist organization did cross from Pakistan, even though we had nothing to do with it? They can say that. I'm not expecting them to admit we are funding them. They can say, we have nothing to do with it, but it is kind of our fault because they crossed from our country and it is an issue. We'll work with India to make sure that shit never happens. Give us our water back. No. We're going to flex. We're going to try to fight back even though we can't. In the process, our own people are going to suffer. And we don't care because we're military powered country. Right? Our military is our government. I don't care. If the general doesn't care. Right? Screw the people. I don't care. I'm gonna flex.
Is a victim of its own flawed geography, which was caused, of course, by the British. The India-Pakistan border was drawn to follow not any ethnic regions or geographical boundaries, but rather the religious border between the majority Muslim and majority Hindu regions of the former British colony of India, aka the British Raj. This is the main cause between the endless state of conflict in Kashmir. For an oversimplified rundown, following its independence, the princely state of Jammu and Kashmir was given the theoretical option to join India, join Pakistan, or remain independent. However, after Pakistan's military incursion and the Maharaja's appeal to India for protection, the region was hastily integrated into India without a plebiscite or any form of public consultation. Ever since, both nations have claimed Kashmir as their own, but the Kashmiri population, majority Muslim and diverse in identity, has remained caught in the middle, denied the right to self-determination and forced to live through decades of militarization, insurgency, and political turmoil. Not only that,
Pakistan is like, we're doing for our people. Those are our ethnical people. So we are going to constantly create tension, do terrorist attack, and keep them under pressure where they're panicking left and right. Even though India is much better equipped to grow economy, which they did, as soon as the special status was removed, economy rose up like immensely, security rose up immensely. Oh, but they're Muslim, they're Islamic. So there are 200 million Islamic people in India. What does that have to do with anything? Pakistan is the one who constantly sees religion. India doesn't care. India is not about religion. India is a very diverse place. Too many religions are in India. They don't care. It's only they are Muslims. So there are many Muslim cities in India, in the center of India. You want that as well?
but just like how the eastern border with India splits the Punjabs in half, the western border of Pakistan, which are also a product of British imperialism, bisect many ethnic groups, with notable ones like the Baloch and Pashtuns being split between Pakistan and Iran and Afghanistan respectively. The Baluchistan region in particular has long been a home to separatist movements seeking greater autonomy or outright independence from Pakistan, driven by grievances over political marginalization and exploitation of natural resources. The Balochistan separatist movements have been brutally suppressed through a combination of military operations, censorship, and political crackdowns by the Pakistani state. However, in the event of a full-scale war between Pakistan and India, these separatist sentiments could intensify, with insurgent groups potentially using the chaos to escalate their campaigns and stretching the Pakistani army thin, which would be a very probable scenario considering separatism tends to rise when a country's living standard plummets and resources become scarce.
Isn't that interesting, right? A country who's mostly Islamic, who would think, you would think that they are internally stable because it's all about religion, isn't it? Well, a country which is diverse, has 200 million Muslim in there, India is very stable. India doesn't have to worry about any incursion from within. Too many extreme terrorist organizations is trying to put foothold in India for decades now. They can't. It sounds like, wait a minute, all these Islamic origin people in India are happy. How'd that happen?
As would be the case in a war between the two countries. Thus, internal issues would be a large risk for Pakistan alongside external ones in the case of war between these two nuclear powers, that again would only benefit India and spell certain doom for Pakistan. Thankfully, as it stands, in spite of escalations and threats, no declaration of war has been made between the two countries. It will be interesting to see how the rest of the world reacts to these growing tensions beyond just a neutral fence-sitting war bad stance. China's response in this situation would also be something to look out for should India and Pakistan go to war. You would think that China would rush to India, its BRICS colleagues' aid. However, as it turns out, China is one of, if not Pakistan's closest ally. Economically, China has heavily invested in Pakistan through the China-Pakistan economic.
Did you just say China would run to help India? One of the most opposite-sided people there is. China and India is like the top 5 economies, second economy, fourth economy, constantly at each other's throat. Mostly one-sided, but still constantly at each other's throat. Yeah, the whole reason Pakistan is flexing in the first place is because China is arming them. That's it. Well, Pakistan has J-10C because China gave it to them, just like that, with not much profit behind it. Why? To just pressure India.
Economic corridor, a key part of its Belt and Road Initiative, and would be concerned about the security of these investments in spite of their effectiveness. Furthermore, despite both cooperating under BRICS, China still sees India as a regional rival and could potentially see this potential conflict as an opportunity to secure its stronghold over South Asia and distract India from their ongoing border disputes, particularly in Ladakh and Arunachal Pradesh, as well as, Jammu and Kashmir. Hell, although India would be likely to win this conflict, it wouldn't be at no small cost, and China could see to exploit this war by funding Pakistan's war effort in an attempt to weaken India and grow its influence in the region and world as a whole. But those were my 2 cents on the matter of a potential war.
Or India or current government would see that as an act of war and like attack China. China can't take that risk. Yeah, that shit is not happening. Another point is, if China and USA relations deteriorate with tariffs and things, China's going to need India for economic reasons as well. Not a major partner probably, but major enough that China would need it. They can't risk that. India already banned a lot of shit from China, like TikTok and many other platforms. China doesn't want India to just point blank say, no Chinese thing, screw it. Drastic measures. And Modi government is known to do drastic measures. They literally stopped the most popular currency, 2 of them, instantly, with 1.4 billion people, which is like insane logistical nightmare. I don't care, I'm doing it, to curb terrorism or whatever, right? Black money, to stop black money. The Modi government just did that. So you do have no idea what, like drastic steps Modi government would take. So China can't risk that shit. Right, well, that was Pakistan's doom. Anyone with common sense would know that if this shit happens, which it didn't. And I'm glad it didn't, right? Like, wars are not good. But yeah. All right, I guess I'll see you next time.